It's time to go back in time into the series that I call my Magical History Tour episodes. Now, the last time we boarded the bus, we went back to 1967. And there was so much great music that came out in that year that I actually carved it into 4 episodes, which you might remember. Now, those were very popular. So I thought we'd do it again, and this time we'll look at the next year at 1968. So come on, roll up, let's get on that bus. Let's drop the needle. Now, like 1967, 1968 was also an incredible year for music. And as we did in 67, where we divided it into 4 episodes, I'm going to do the same thing here with 1968 because there's just so much to cover. So we will start with the winner. Setting a tone for the year, in January, Johnny Cash releases Live from Fulton Prison. It's a great album with lots of passion from John's performance, including that immortal line from Folsom Prison Blues, "I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die." Other standouts are Cocaine Blues, Orange Blossom Special, The Long Black Veil, Dirty Old Egg-Sucking Dog, and Green, Green Grass of Home. Also in California, the Byrds released their 5th album, Notorious Byrd Brothers, and it's notorious for its cover. David Crosby has been replaced by a horse. Hey, David, at least the horse is looking at us, not turned around the other way. David got fired from the band, and there's a couple of interesting stories as to why. One is that he appeared with the Buffalo Springfield on stage at the Monterey Pop Festival, and this really upset Jim McGuinn of the Byrds. The other one is that David had a song that he wanted the Byrds to record, and it was pretty controversial, and the Byrds turned him down. The song was about a 3-way love affair. It's called Triad, and they did not want to record it. So David gave it to the Jefferson Airplane. Nonetheless, there's some good songs here. I like Artificial Energy, Going Back, Wasn't Born to Follow, and 2 of David Crosby's songs that he played on before being fired, Draft Morning, which is a great anti-war song, and Dolphin Smile. In San Francisco, a new band releases their first album. The band is Blue Cheer, and the album is Vincebus Eruptum. The band is a power trio of Dickie Peterson on vocals and bass, Lee Stevens on guitar, and Paul Whaley on drums. A very psychedelic heavy metal band. Blue Cheer was one of the loudest bands that I ever heard. They were just simply deafening. The album thunders with the opening hit for them, the cover of Eddie Cochran's Summertime Blues. Then there's Rock Me Baby, Dr. Please, and Out of Focus. This is an album that sums up San Francisco psychedelia very loudly. Down in Los Angeles, a band called Spirit releases their first album. I like Fresh Garbage, what a title to start the album off with, and Mechanical World. Then there's the song Taurus, which has now become famous as it was the basis of a lawsuit from the estate of Randy California, the guitarist and the writer from Spirit who wrote and sang Taurus and Led Zeppelin. Now the story goes, Spirit opened for Led Zeppelin on a number of dates on a tour. And in the set that Spirit would play, they would play this song, Taurus. And then a little while later, Led Zeppelin came out with a song that you've probably heard of, which is called Stairway to Heaven. And the suit came about because the estate of Randy California went, that sounds very much like Taurus. And the suit contended that Led Zeppelin had heard Spirit play Taurus each night and ripped off the riff for Stairway to Heaven. Originally, the suit was successful and Spirit won. But then the verdict got overturned and Led Zeppelin was free to go about their business. Now, you should listen to both songs and make a decision for yourself if they sound similar. But I think that the guitar intros are identical. As much as I like Led Zeppelin, I am siding with Spirit on this one. I also like Topanga Windows and the almost 11-minute song Elijah. Around the same time in LA, out came an album and it sounded like it came out of the swamps of New Orleans. very strange album called Grigri by Dr. John the Night Tripper. Grigri is a combination of New Orleans and psychedelia. I played this album a lot, and I certainly was intrigued by the cover. But I can't say that I ever really liked it, but I respected it. Hey, it was voodoo. The title song is Grigri Gumbo Ya Ya. Other titles are Danse Kalinda Baboom, Mama Roo, and Danse Flambeau. So grab yourself some gumbo and take a listen. And on the last day of January, the Viet Cong and North Vietnamese attack the U.S. Embassy in Saigon. Now comes February. Al Kooper first came into fame as part of the Blues Project, but in 1968 he left them because he wanted to start his own band, a band that would have brass instruments, horns in it. Now it's been said that he modeled this after the sound that was coming out of a Chicago band. That band was called the Buckinghams. They had a number of hits in 1967, including Don't You Care, Mercy, 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 Hey Baby, They're Playing Our Song, and my favorite, Susan. So Al Kooper creates a band and calls them Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and in February of 1968, they released their first album. It's called Child is Father to the Man. Al is the band leader, the arranger, and the lead vocalist on most of the tracks. The album is an eclectic mix of styles from folk to acid rock to jazz. Many great songs on this record, including I Love You More Than You'll Ever Know, Morning Glory, written and recorded by Tim Buckley just the year before, Harry Nilsson's Without Her, Just One Smile, I Can't Quit Her, Megan's Gypsy Eyes, and House in the Country. A new form of radio was popping up in colleges around the U.S. It was called FM radio. And instead of the AM radio, which played singles, FM would play albums. And this album, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, got played a lot on college radio stations around the country. The band went out and toured to support it. But two members of the band thought that Al had way too much control, and so they ousted him from the band that he had created. He's written a book, which I highly recommend. It's called Backstage Passes and Backstabbing Bastards. A lot of musicians that played the summer before at the Monterey Pop Festival released their first albums in 1968, and one of those is Otis Redding. Now, he was an established R&B artist before Monterey, but his appearance at Monterey opened up a whole mainstream audience for him. So in December of 1967, he records Sitting on the Dock of the Bay as a single. Unfortunately, on December 19th of 1967, Otis Redding was on tour and his plane crashed, and he and 4 members of his band were killed. The album, The Dock of the Bay, was released in February of 1968. It was finished just 2 days prior to his death. Besides Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, the album includes I Love You More Than Words Can Say, Don't Mess with Cupid, The Glory of Love, Tramp, and Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out. And also in February 1968, the very first 911 telephone emergency system is established in the U.S. And across the pond, a group releases their first album, and it's called Fleetwood Mac, or sometimes Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac. Fleetwood Mac was formed by the amazing guitarist Peter Green. He enlisted a second guitarist, Jeremy Spencer, and named the group for the rhythm section, which was Mick Fleetwood on drums and John McVie on bass. This album contains blues covers and original songs by Green and Spencer that really capture the early 60s British affection for blues music. Check out Hellhound on My Trail, Shake Your Moneymaker, and The World Keeps Turning. And on the news front, photographer Eddie Adams shoots this picture of what's happening in Vietnam. As we enter into March, the cold winds are raking the city of Chicago, and a new band is formed. Now, they actually recorded some songs for the movie The Trip, but they decided they wanted to make their own album, but it took them a long time. So the album was entitled A Long Time Comin', and the band is called Electric Flag. Like so many others, Electric Flag had also played at the Monterey Pop Festival, and like so many other bands, they had drug issues. And as a result, this album took an incredibly long time to make. The sound is a fusion of jazz, rock, blues, and even some classical influences. The album opens with version of Killing Floor, then grooving is easy. Wine, Sitting in Circles, and You Don't Realize. Critics praised the album, but it didn't sell. In 1968, the U.S. government repeals the standard that had gold backing up U.S. money, currency. So it makes this $10 bill now obsolete. Up to this point, every paper bill in the U.S. had this statement printed on it. And speaking of money, out in L.A., a group called the Mothers of Invention released their album called We're Only in It for the Money. Now, the cover is a parody of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, but the record company made them put the original cover on the inside and the inside cover on the outside. Zappa was furious, but what an album, and no one is safe from his barbs, whether you're a right-winger, a left-winger, or even a hippie. Look out, Zappa's gonna get you. Here are some of the tracks on this great album. Are You Hung Up? Concentration Moon. Bowtie Daddy. What's the Ugliest Part of Your Body? Absolutely Free, and Hot Poop. And this is all on side 1. On side 2, Let's Make the Water Turn Black, The Idiot Bastard Son, Take Your Clothes Off When You Dance, and Mother People. Also in March, Canadian singer-songwriter Joni Mitchell releases her first album, Songs to a Seagull, which was produced by David Crosby. I Like I Had a King, Michael from Mountains, Nathan Lafreniere, The Dawn Treader, The Pirate of Penzance, and Song to a Seagull. Another female singer-songwriter releases her second album in New York, and that is Laura Nyro, and the album is called Eli and the 13th Confession. Laura is another artist that performed at the Monterey Pop Festival, and many songs in this album were debuted there. She really nails this album. There are many standout songs. Lucky, Sweet Blindness, Lonely Woman, Eli's Coming, Stone Soul Picnic, Woman's Blues, and The Confession. 12 great albums released in just the first 3 months of 1968. What a year. In the next episode, we'll look at the spring of 1968 and discover the music and the times of that period. Thanks for watching, and keep it rockin'. If you liked this episode, hit the like button, and you can also leave me a comment down below, and I'll respond to you. If you subscribe, we'll let you know when future episodes come out.